In this video, I'll tell you about ways to keep your hobby motivation going by honoring your wins. Take the W. Though wargaming is thought of as generally a social endeavor, the hobby portion of it can be very solitary. Sitting there for hours with the clipping and the scraping and the building and the gluing and the painting and all that kind of stuff. Some folks have no problem with this amount of solitude. I personally love sitting alone and working on my miniatures while listening to podcasts and audiobooks and stuff like that on my earphones and whatnot. It's my decompression time. It helps with stress, and I really enjoy it. Plus, it gets models finished and on the table. It's not enough for everyone, though. Some folks love to hobby in groups, sometimes in the real world, getting together with friends and working on miniature projects, frequently known amongst my friends as a paint jam. This can be done at somebody's house, like on the living room, or the dining room table or whatever, in the basement or wherever you might do it, or maybe even at a game store that has space for that kind of thing. Sometimes game stores even have specific nights where they're like hobby nights where people just come in and get together and hang out, and that's very cool. Other folks love to get together online, like a Discord voice chat channel, for example, and just talk about any and all things while each person is at home alone, but talking to each people and building and painting models and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of options. But still, your hobby motivation can really start to lag sometimes, even if you are hobbying in your perfect circumstances, like solo or in a group, whichever it is that you prefer. And it usually has nothing to do with your surroundings as you hobby. More often than not, it has to do with whether you feel like you're making any progress. Like really big armies, right, with tons of near identical models can really knock the wind out of any hobby hero's sails, right? Like all those soldiers all wearing the same outfits, all that kind of stuff. But there's always ways around that too that we've talked about, on the channel here in the past. What I'm talking about today is a thing that I think that people in this hobby don't do enough for themselves. When you finish a project, right, like you've been working on this for a while, maybe it's just a squad of 5, soldiers, or maybe it's just a bunch of monsters for a thing, or maybe it's some vehicles or some tanks, whatever, but you've been working on it, you've been spending a lot of time, whether you're again doing it solo or whether you're doing this in groups or however you're doing it, and you're happy with it. You're really finished and you enjoy it and you're looking at it and you're like, I really like this. At that point, it is time to take the W, right? Like W stands for win in this situation, just so you know. You take the win, appreciate it, enjoy it, and maybe even more importantly, share it with others so that they might enjoy it too. There's a bunch of different ways to do this as well, and they're going to help you out. Some are obvious, and some maybe not so obvious, but it's important for your hobby brain to get recharged with a win, and sharing it will definitely help. We all know that social media is kind of evil, right? And that's coming from someone whose livelihood sort of depends on social media, between day jobbery and doing all of this and all that kind of stuff. It seems like it should, and by it I mean social media, it should help to bring people together, this technology. And I think that's kind of maybe partially where the idea was when it started, but in many cases, it causes some folks to split even further apart. That discussion, honestly, is not particularly within this channel's purview, but social media can technically be used for good if you know how. Social media is a great place to share your wins in the hobby with other like-minded individuals. Getting that positive feedback from other people out on the internet can really help to recharge your motivation, your hobby motivation, and get you working on that next project. These days, I'd tell you to probably start an Instagram account for your hobby images. You might want to start a second account if you already have one that is for your personal stuff, and you want to keep it separate from your main account where you just basically share pictures of your kids or your cats, whatever, with your friends. Or you may not want to have a separate account and just keep it all in one place. That's probably a decision that you'll have to make based off of your friend group. I'm telling you to look into Instagram right now because, well, some of the alternatives are a never-ending dumpster fire. And also, the hobby community on Instagram is actually pretty robust. as are the tools for searching and trying to find stuff within the miniature hobby. Again, on Instagram, there's a lot of hashtags that you can search. Necromunda, Blanchitsu, Inquisitori 28. I mean, all kinds of things. Whatever type of thing that you're into as far as the hobby is concerned, it's a lot easier, I think, with Instagram to kind of do that. And, you can post images of your finished projects as you finish them. And over time, you will hopefully gain more followers and get more positive feedback. That kind of feedback, likes and comments, even just a few, especially once you've started, when you've finished a project, they can really help your brain to celebrate your hobby success and get you rolling into the next project. As a side note, shooting good photos of your finished projects will help you to get some of that the positive feedback, right? Bad photos of great paint jobs still won't get much feedback at all, probably. Take a bit of time with your photos. Make sure that you don't have your flash on if you're using anything that has a flash. Just don't do that. Maybe watch this video where I talk about how to take decent pictures of your, miniatures with your smartphone. Pachow. And then you can really put out your best shots out there and showcase your wins. One more quick side note about Instagram. If you've been using it for a while, you might have noticed that Instagram isn't as good as it used to be. They're constantly throwing video reels and suggested posts, in front of you. And sometimes it seems like they're not showing you the stuff that you follow. I was bemoaning this on Twitch recently when I was painting and all that kind of stuff. And an intrepid viewer, Panny Mauser, mentioned this to me, which I didn't know. I don't know that it works on every person's account, but there's up near the Instagram logo, there's a little arrow. And if you tap on that, it will drop down and show you a thing that's like a little menu that says following and favorites. And if you click on following, it will only show you the stuff that you're following and not stuff that you don't want to see, right? It just shows you those things, which is really awesome. And it even puts them in chronological order. It's kind of hidden and it seems like it's maybe on purpose, but take a look at that. And like I said, I don't know that everybody's account has it, but yours might. And if it does, it will really make your feed look a lot better. Now you got to hit it every time that you come back to Instagram, but it's a pretty quick click and then there you go. You don't have to see all the extra stuff that you're not interested in. Also, I'd suggest Discord. If you find yourself attached to some kind of Discord server for the hobby, and there's so many of them out there, honestly. It's not really hard. There's even a Tabletop Minions Discord server for Uncle Adam's Irregulars, aka Patreon supporters. Then that can also be a great place to share your finished work and to get the rewards of praise and or feedback from other hobbyists and for the stuff that you're, doing. But praise doesn't just come from the internet. It's a strange thing to say, I think. People in your life might also be interested in seeing your work, not just people online, people that you actually see face to face. If you're one of those folks that I mentioned at the beginning who likes to hobby in groups, then obviously you should share your finished work with those folks, They were probably there throughout the process and they'd be very interested in seeing the finished product, of all of your time and whatnot. But you should also show your wins to non-hobby people too. Maybe you have a significant other and they'd like to see your finished work. You've been working on it and spending a lot of time in your hobby room or the basement or whatever. And they want to see what comes of it. Getting positive feedback from a loved one can be a great thing, right? Speaking of loved ones, family, like actual blood relatives and stuff like that can be great for this as well. Showing your cool finished models that you're happy with to a sibling, a child, a parent. This can give you that boost that you're looking for and potentially get them maybe even a little bit more interested in the hobby themselves. Maybe you're converting your family into the hobby as you show them your finished models. This is a win-win in my book. You should have photos of your finished models on your phone, kind of like other people have pictures of their kids and their pets and stuff like that, right? So like when the time is right, then you can show friends or family and coworkers what it is that you do in your free time and what kind of things that you're proud of. Now, it is important to read the room, right? Of course, there's a right time for that kind of thing. And some people just won't care. That's fine. You hopefully can pick the right folks to share these photos with and get that kind of sweet enjoyment kind of feedback that you're looking for, and then turn that into some more motivation for your hobby down the road. Will this idea of sharing your finished projects with people either online or in person to kind of celebrate your wins, will it be guaranteed to keep your hobby motivated and moving forward? It won't work for everybody, if I'm honest. Some people won't need it because they find that they rarely need hobby motivation or other people's opinions or any kind of stuff like that. And the outcome itself is its own reward. But for most of the rest of us, we sometimes kind of need the hobby fires burning, and making sure to take your W's is another great way to do it. So do you just simply finish a project and then go on to the next one, ad infinitum, or do you like to show off your work and get that kind of motivational recharge from people's reactions to it? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, where do you generally share your work, right? Like where online and that kind of stuff? Put that down there too. I hope you found this video useful. And if you liked it, I'd really appreciate you hitting the like button down below. It really helps the channel, and you get to see tiny little fireworks too, which, who doesn't like tiny fireworks, right? Subscribe if you'd like to see more, and thanks for watching.